All right, guys, welcome back to SuryaCast, episode 6. Today we have our first guest on the podcast, and it's all about event management. Deepthi Kondapalli is the co founder of STORYSUTRA, and she's all about managing events and getting you your dream event come true. Have you ever wondered what it takes to plan an event? Have you ever been curious about what goes on behind the scenes, the chaos, the madness, the excitement, the adventure, the mishaps, all of that goes on behind the scenes when you hire an event planner for your little one's birthday or marriage or Sangeet? Well, we dive deep, into some really spicy takes that go on behind the scenes of an event manager's life. Stay tuned. This episode is going to be real fun. So, Akka. She's also my sister. That's what Akka means. Tell us why you started the company and what is the vision for STORYSUTRA? How did you go about envisioning this project of yours?
Great. Thank you, guys, first of all, for having me on SuryaCast. And, I'm the first guest, so I consider it like my honor and privilege. So thank you. So now to answer your question about how STORYSUTRA was started, I'm going to rewind and go right back to my graduation days, 2003, 4 and 5. Yeah, which also reminds me how old I am. But anyway, so during that time, I was freelancing with Novotel. You all are aware of Novotel. So they wanted someone to, come in as part of their sales and marketing. And they were like just, handpicking girls from, colleges. So I happened to give my application and I got selected. And for the next 1.5 to 2 years, I was associated with Novotel. So whenever they had an event, like a wedding or a Sangeet, whatever, they would call me and I would be part of their coordination and organization team. So that's how I was actually introduced into the world of events. And I quickly realized that this is something that I really enjoyed, So, of course, it was a very brief stint, but I thought that it's an exciting thing because it gave me an opportunity to, interact with new people, talk to, a lot of clients, hear their backstories about, how they wanted to get married or how someone was having a child after like so many years of marriage. And then, there was a birthday coming up. So it was like one huge celebration in the family. So each event came with its own backstory. And that's something that really fascinated me. But of course, after that, I couldn't really take it up because I went on to do my MBA and then, I landed my first job in a corporate world and then life happened and, so on and so forth. And I got married, I had my child, I couldn't really come back to events after, my stint in Novotel. But it was always there, at the back of my head that, this is something that I want to go back to. Mujhe jana hai wapas at some given point in time. And then, how they say that everything has to align, the stars have to align and all of that. And I think ultimately that happened somewhere in the middle of 2019, when me and a friend of mine, we were just, this actually happened in Cult at the fitness test center where, we were thinking, we have to do something, I realized I can't do a desk job. She just come back from the US. She wanted to pick up something. No money to put in investment. So we were thinking, what's the best thing that we can do in terms of a business perspective without putting money. So then obviously I took up this whole events thing and she also happened to be very interested and she said, let's just do it. So then we just did like some very random cold calling, got a few vendors together, sent word out into family and friends saying, we'd love to do your event. If you can give it to us, if you're looking for someone who can, assist you. So that kind of, I think, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my friend Dr. Satya Prasad, because he was the first one who gave me a lead. One of his friends' brother's Sangeet we did at home. It was a very small Sangeet Kam Mehendi event. So Uma, thank you for giving me the first event. And she called me and she said, hey, I heard that, you guys are, you want to do events, and I have my brother's mehendi coming up. But it's very small, no budget, just at home in the backyard. Would you like to do it? I said, yeah, of course, why not? So, that's how we landed our first event. It was a very small Sangeet cum mehendi setup with just like a small backdrop and just like some dhol and stuff. And then we picked up from there. It was a very average setup because we were doing it for the first time. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing, but, we went ahead and did it anyway. And they were kind enough and they appreciated us. And that's how, Story Sutra started.
That's a very interesting story. I didn't know that it started in cult, actually. This is news to me.
Yes, it did.
Right. So that's how kind of... thank you, cult, I must say.
Yeah, thank you, cult also.
Thank you, cult, for that opportunity.
This was a friend from before, or you met the friend at cult?
I actually met her at cult. Oh. So I have to thank cult for a lot of things. Yeah. We've made some amazing friendships also in cult, which even Shiva is now a part of. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what are the challenges that you actually have when you have to do an event? What does like, the day in the life of an event manager go like? And what are the challenges that you face when you actually do an event?
Yeah, so a day in the life of an event manager is quite chaotic. Where we talk about giving it structure, we talk about streamlining it and, having a sequence to it. All that looks very good on paper and in theory, but when you actually just, get your hands down and dirty, it's all over the place. Because the main issue here is coordination. It's not just one team. You have the flower guys coming in, you have the lights, you have the sound, you have the DJ, you have the structure guys, you have the convention or the banquet guys where your venue is set, taking place. So all of these people are more or less, they come from a very disorganized industry. It's not like a MNC where, you have like a streamlined process to it. Most of them are, people who come from, they're not that educated, like how the flower guys are or how the lights guys are. Didi, ye ho gaya, Didi, wo ho gaya, I want this, I need this. So it's very... You just have to take it as it comes and sort of improvise. So it's not structured as much as you would like it to be, and you try. You just have to go with the flow and try to improvise wherever you can.
So if I'm getting it correct, it's like it's one of the tests of a manager in some sense, because you're not managing an MNC where everything is kind of like, where you have like an operating procedure, or you have like if this happens, then you're supposed to do this. Correct. Or you're talking to a person who generally knows what he or she is supposed to do, and that itself can be pretty difficult. Managing an MNC, but here you have to first of all, and I think also the stakes are really high, because if you don't deliver to the client at that time, things can get really. Things can go really bad. They can be like, I don't like this. And there's like 2 hours to a wedding. Or 2 hours to a birthday party, and then there's a lot of palpable tension, right? So I think there's a lot of grind involved.
There's a lot of grind, there's a lot of stress, because like you rightly said, it may be an event for us, but for someone it's their wedding, or for someone it's, their Sangeet, where they want to, they have this whole flair, they have this whole dance sequences planned out and everything. For someone else, it's the birthday of their twins. So each event comes with an emotional quotient, very high, for the client. So it's not just, ठीक है, हम लोग गए, एक setup कर दिया, हो गया, turned on the lights, we walked out. No. There is a relationship that you have to establish with your client even before the event starts. For example, at a wedding, we start talks with the family at least 2 to 3 months before the wedding, because there's so much that goes into it, right from venue planning. So in some way or the other, you kind of become a part of their family. You know, they call you over for discussions, and then there's so many times where, you have your bride or your groom telling you,
Stories
inside stuff about, oh, I'm being harassed by this uncle or this auntie, or my future mother-in-law seems like, red flags. And, most times we're just sitting there, not just,
Right.
planning the event, but also hand-holding them with their meltdowns. And, very, like, bridezillas it's a real thing.
Hold on a second. What's bridezillas?
A bridezilla is like a bride, a cross between a bride and a Godzilla. So that's
Because
a
they have
bridezilla.
that tension,
Yeah.
because it's the wedding day, it's a big day, and they want everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
So they go overboard, like they want everything to be under control. They want certain things to happen that way itself.
Correct.
So yeah, it's very hard.
First time I'm hearing bridezilla, but I can get what
I think it's a common term in the West.
Yeah, you've seen the movie Bride Wars. I think there's a movie
it's a
called
very
Bride
common
Wars.
thing. I think a lot of movies have specifically targeted this
Yes.
bridezilla character type.
Yes.
Having meltdowns. Meltdown is a common thing on wedding
Weddings.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very particular about like a specific color. Like a bride wants a specific color on her choli or on her ghagra, and it has to be teal. So then, we have people, we have the designer that I reach out to. She's like Googling what is teal color, and then it has to match with the teal color in the bride's head. So it's, it sounds very stupid right now and
Yeah.
very silly, but for her, it's very important that she gets her teal color right, because she has to match it with, her future husband. And then it's very dramatic, to say the least.
How emotionally
Draining, is it? It's very emotionally draining. Some of them are, not all. Like, some clients are very easy breezy to deal with. Like I have a client whom we've been associated with, like from the time she got pregnant. We did her baby shower, then we did her baby's 21st day ceremony, then we did her baby's annaprasana, then we did her baby's birthday. So it's been like, a whole process with her of like, 2.5 years. They're very easy to work with. She just calls me. She says, "This is the event, Deepthi. This is what I want. Just get it done. Just tell me how much it costs. I'll give you." So she's very gracious. They're lovely to work with. I always look forward to, her call. But on the other hand, you also have, clients who don't know what they want, who don't take suggestions, and who are just like so melodramatic all the time, partly because they don't know what they want, and then they're not open to taking suggestions. So people like this are very difficult to work with, and no matter how much you do for them, they're not satisfied. But yeah, it takes all kinds to make a world. So
I think that is there with all clients. I mean, clients in the IT industry as well. You have certain clients who know what they want, who don't really breathe down your neck, okay, and are like, this is what we want. This is what we want. This is how much time it is going to take, and please get it done. That's fine. That's one flavor of a client that we actually have. But there are certain other clients who just don't know what they want. When I used to work, okay, I remember that. And you have calls on calls on calls, stand-ups upon stand-ups, with things spiraling out of control, leading really nowhere.
Actually, I wanted to just butt in there and just talk about something similar that A.R. Rahman actually gave in an interview. Said that my best work is when the director comes and tells me, okay, this is what I want. This is my process. This is my thinking process of what this music should be, what the song should be. And then he goes off. He gives a basic idea. But a lot of directors now, what they do is, okay, I've signed A.R. Rahman. He'll give me good music. I don't need to do anything more. Right? That's his worst work. When the director has a vision and he wants that vision to be shown in the songs or music itself, then he says, A.R. Rahman says that, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can see what you're thinking and I can produce that. So I think once, like you said, once the client themselves in this movie director, they know the vision, like, okay, I want this wedding like this, or I want the wedding to the structure to be this, or the theme to be this, then you can understand, it's easier for you to plan it. Yeah.
That's true. Like there's a mood board for
sure.
everything.
Absolutely.
Nowadays we have Pinterest, we have wedding blogs, where you can go, you can refer how you want your wedding to be. And by wedding it's not just one event, right? Like there is a series of pre-wedding events that happen to lead up to the wedding. So you have your mehendi, you have your sangeet, you have your pelli kurturu, pelli koduku, mangala snanam, or like haldi, whatever. And then by a wedding you're actually doing like 4 or 5 events as part of that entire thing. So you can plan it, actually you can plan it well. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. All it needs is like, you just know what you want. Like for my sangeet I want this theme, for my mehendi I want this theme, this is the color palette I want. Have a mood board ready, sit with your planner, sit with your designer, sit with your events person, have your family give their inputs slowly, and start at least 6 months in advance. We have had people calling us 3 days ahead, like, hello, I have a reception okay sir, when? After 3 days. What am I supposed to do?
They need a generic...
Yes, it's very difficult, but we have done, stuff like that as well, but it's very difficult because there's so many people, like I said, involved especially if it's a big event which has like 400, 500, 600 people, because nowadays weddings and receptions are a huge thing. You have 1,200, even 2,000 people attending a wedding. How do you plan that in a week? Wow. Where will you source so much of flower from the material, from labor? कहाँ से लाओगे तुम इतने सारे? Because you need to at least have 200 to 300 people ground staff working for you. So all these things have to be planned well in advance. Your advances in terms of monetary finances have to be sent out to block these people. Flour has to be sourced. If it's not available in Hyderabad, we get it from Bangalore, or sometimes we've had flour flown in from Thailand or Malaysia also, if it's exotic flowers. So all these things need at least 2 months of advance planning. So we plan it quarter wise or dates wise. Weddings are time based and date based. So when you have a wedding coming up, just plan in advance. At least give it 6 months. And I'm not talking only about the event. Your outfits, what do you want to do? How do you want to do? There's an entire process, that happens. So if you plan it in advance, it's not that difficult.
And just coming back to, when you're putting... when did you say you did your MBA? Which year?
2007. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, then it's quite far, 12 years after MBA then. Because I was just wondering, did you use any tools that helped you, that you learned in your MBA? Because I think MBA gives you a lot of tools in terms of marketing, maybe in terms of other stuff, which you can use in this. I thought maybe in marketing, for example, making a differentiating factor for a startup, for yourself, like your company, or making that board as to the sourcing and the mood board, all this stuff, right? You learn in MBA. And I was just thinking, did you use any of those tools in this?
No. I think so. I passed out my MBA in 2007. At that time, we didn't really have so many opportunities like the MBA that students are pursuing right now. It was very conventional. I did my HR, my major in HR and my minor in marketing. So it was very bookish. And my first job was in recruitment. Okay. So I was just sitting taking 50 interviews a day. That was my first job. So it was nowhere related to any tools or anything. All of this I've learned. I've still not learned it. I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn. Because designing is a huge part of events. So no, we didn't have all this back then.
So even now, if you look at an MBA, a modern MBA, okay, I don't think it really has the kind of skills that are required. I mean, MBA is a kind of like, to a certain extent, a generic sort of a set of skills that you can learn for any business that you want to start.
It just teaches you management basically. And
But it has, at least I've done the modern MBA, right? So it has good tools. For example, if you have a startup, they have this thing called barriers of entry. So there's 7 or 8 barriers. So if can your startup avoid those barriers and stand up? That's in one type of management. Then you have marketing. You have a lot of tools now. So you have these board. So in that board itself, for example, you'll know what the vendors are, what you need to do to make those vendors. Get those vendors. What you need to do to get your clients, market supply and demand. So there are a lot of tools now which actually help. And that's why I was asking. Maybe if it was recent, maybe you would have even remembered some, but it was a long time back. So because you have a lot of tools which you can always go back to and say, hey, I just put it on paper and see. That helps a lot.
Does the modern MBA have something akin to like an event management?
Not event management as such, but you have like you said, it's generic, but a lot of them are case studies. I think then I don't know how it was.
Hardly any. And we had these conventional case studies of,
Harvard Business School. Yeah, that's right. But most of them, but now every subject is a case study. You have a case study, and then you learn what tool to use in that case study, and then you apply that in real life. I think it's improved a lot. But I haven't done my MBA in India, so I'm not sure how it is in India. But outside I've done, and it's really helpful. I think you can use those tools and help in management, help in vendors, and such. Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to actually say here is that since you had said that design is actually a very important thing, okay, when it comes to event management, I see that there is, if somebody wants to get into event management or into, let's say, fashion design or anything that is a creative or conventionally considered as a creative space in this, would something like a National Institute of Design or a design course, would that actually be more helpful as opposed to an MBA? Because these are a little not very conventional occupations, and I think something that teaches you really well to do these kinds of things is National Institute of Design, something like that.
Definitely, National Institute of Design would definitely be something which some person can explore if he or she wants to get into events. Not just events, any creative space. It can help you design an automobile. It can help you design, anything in the retail space. It can help you design a mandapam. So because it is to do with design basically, and you need design everywhere.
Absolutely.
So I think definitely a National Institute of Design is something which someone should explore if they want to get into any kind of designing. Doesn't matter. Then you will design according to which industry you are in. Yeah.
It gives you your thinking process a structure. Basically, you'll be very creative. Yes, you might be very talented, but if it doesn't have a platform or structure to do that, you won't be able to replicate whatever is in your mind on the paper. So I think that those kind of institutes gives you that structure to your thought process.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. One more question I had was when you're starting up, right? So a lot of us, for example, have these brilliant business ideas, and then we postpone. We don't ever talk about it again. So when you got this idea, where were you mentally, and how did you take that first step? Because I think the first step is always the hardest step, right? Yeah. Because it's always in the mind, like you always that taking the plunge is the issue. So how was that?
Yeah. So where was I mentally? I was at my lowest at that time, both personally as well as professionally. It took a lot of strength and a lot of support from my family also. I was going through a personal issue, and I was at like rock bottom. Then I thought, ठीक है, इससे बुरा तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता. I can't go lower than this. I better pull up my socks, stop whining and wallowing in self-pity, and let me at least start doing something, at least start putting the effort, So that's how it started. It didn't start well. And yeah, like I said, fortunately, with a lot of, you can never do anything alone, right? It's always like team effort from friends and family, which I've been very fortunate to have. So yeah, that's how we started. And like I said, we did a very mediocre first event towards the end of 2019. And then, what happened in 2020, COVID hit. So I think just after, so here's a very interesting snippet. Our second event, in fact, we did in Warangal. And and this was just about the time when, the country was going into lockdown, the flights were being stopped at the airports and things like that. So we had a reception set up in Warangal. We were doing it. We were in the midst of the setup. Work was going on in full swing. And suddenly around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening, the police comes and they just take everything down.
Oh my God.
They just take, I think around 80% of the work was done. We had about 600 kgs of roses.
How did the client take it?
The client was quarantined because he'd just come from, I think, France or Paris, and they didn't turn themselves in. You were supposed to say, right?
Oh, okay. So they were on a witch hunt at that point. Who's coming where?
So he was taken in and he was quarantined at home, and there was one seal in front of their house, and the family didn't tell the authorities properly. And then we had this reception in the evening, and they just came, they just shut everything down, and they told us, you have to leave Warangal in the next 1 hour, go back to wherever you're from, because if you don't go now, the roads also were shut, right? Everything was shut. If you don't go now, then you may not go for many, many months to come. So it was a complete washout. We had to pay our vendors because it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, at this
You
point,
have to be paid for your work.
how much money inflow did you get from the client?
We got about 60%.
60%. And that was gone for the vendors, labor, and all the things. Nothing in your own pocket.
Nothing. Then they asked for full payment. So we had to actually dig deep into our own purses. Whatever we had, we just said, "Bhaiya, le lo, abhi jao, bas ghar wapas pahunchna hai." So at that point in time, because we didn't know what is this COVID, what is happening, why. We had no knowledge at that time. And, I had my dad calling me saying, come back, leave everything, drop it right now. And it was very dramatic. And, I had my friend with me. We were doing it together. And she has 2 small children back home. And she was like, okay, I have to get home to my kids. If I don't get home in the next 2-3 hours, then I don't think I'll, see them for months. So there was so much of panic. And that was a washout. And then we reached home that night. We drove like crazy people and we just got home, and what followed, the world collapsed. Everyone knows. So 2020 was practically a washout. So I think we did 2 events, and then I again sat at home and I was like, oh my God, have I done the right thing? Should I have just picked up a job? But then I also had like this whole mom guilt around me. Should I leave my child? Should I go to work? Should I go to work because of my child? All of that. But again, fortunately, towards the end of 2020, once the lockdown got lifted and things got better again, again, it took a lot of strength and a lot of, so I fell and got up, and I fell and got up. I still fall and get up. I still have really bad days, but from end of 2020, things picked up, and we got some very good events. We got some very good clients.
The marriage and events thing kind of surged right?
Yeah.
Because there were no weddings for a long time.
People wanted to get married. चलो कोविड है नहीं है हम शादी तो करेंगे.
तो करना है, even though if it's a small setup. That time we had a cap on the number of guests. First I think it started off with just 50, then they kind of slowly. So, it got bigger and bigger, and people also, I think 2021 or 2022 in fact, was the time when we had a lot of COVID babies' birthdays.
Yeah, true.
Then I had people calling me and say, hey Deepthi, my child is a COVID baby. Nobody's seen him or her since the last 2 years, and we're starved of an event in the family. So we really want to make this big. We want to make it huge. Cousins families flying in from around the world. And then slowly, I think 2021 and 22 was when, we really scaled, and we got some good events, we got good business in, we got good clients. So it was up and down graph, and hopefully upwards from here.
Given the specificity of Muhurats and time frame, like certain events just happen in this, like for us summers are like the huge wedding season. At a given point, how many events were you able to manage? Were you able to do like multiple events? Have you done that?
Yeah.
Then like the number.
Yeah, so we have been able to do multiple events. In fact, just recently, I think in the first week of Jan, we had one day where we were doing 4 events at
Wow.
different places in Hyderabad.
That's too much pressure.
That's too much pressure, yeah.
But you did it.
But we did it, yeah. We have a good team now. That's what it's taken time. We're still building, we're still growing, but we are at that stage where we know that if on the same day we land up more than one event, also we can split and we can execute that event properly. Yeah.
Have you ever pulled all-nighters? Okay, for
Many times.
Many all-nighters.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All-nighters all the time. How does it feel like? Like, how does it feel like? Like, do you feel sleepy, or does the adrenaline in you kind of keep you awake so that you don't have to go around?
Oh no, we don't feel sleepy. It's very stressful. I'm pacing most of the time. The workers are up. We're all having multiple cups of coffee and conversations of ki ye theek karo, wo theek karo, this mala is not good, pull this down, pull that down and stuff. So yeah, it's very, very stressful. Everyone is all hands on deck. And right at the very end, the last 1 or 2 hours when it's time to hand it over, we're all cleaning, we're all having jadu in our hands, we're all cleaning, sleep deprived, crazy people. But then we know that this is go time. 7 a.m. we have to give the hall, spick and span, everything has to be up, the light needs to be on, the sound system's going. So it's great, but it's very stressful. But at the same time, I wouldn't have it any other way, because this is what you're in this for, that rush. And then finally when the lights come on and then you see your final product, the Pinterest product to life. And even if you've been able to get like 90% of it, you're through. Your client will be happy. And then when your bride or when, your client walks in and they're so happy. Like I've had clients even cry. And hug me and say, Deepthi, this is like, it's turned out even more than what we've expected. Thank you so much. So ultimately, that's what gives me happiness. And, it's always not the money, though, of course, it is the driving force, but it is this also. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can only imagine how the kind of satisfaction that you might feel if a client is like, I really liked this.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think this came out better than anything, because what happens is that, like, when it comes to events, you right there see, okay, the satisfaction that the client can see, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's they can't fake it.
No,
okay, in some
can't.
sense they can't fake it and be like, ye acha hai, right? If they don't like it, they don't like it, because it's so much for them, it means so much for them. There's so much emotional attachment.
True.
Very interesting.
I was actually going to ask you, do you think the relationship with the client is more important or the vendors is more important? Right? Both? No.
It's like two eyes.
So you need to have both.
Yeah, the client is what gives you your money, your bread and butter, because that's where your money is coming from. But it's your vendors who are going to do your job for you, God forbid you mess with them. Then there is no client, there's no business, there's no event only. So your vendors are very, very important. And I'm so fortunate to have found the right vendors. It took time. We had bad experiences. We've changed multiple vendors because it's all a learning. I've also learned. We've had bad events where clients have given us gali, like really badly. And payments have not come out, and I've come home crying. My brother's witness to it. He's consoled me many times saying it's okay, it happens, you've just had a bad day. But I've had days when I doubted myself and I wanted to just stop it because nahi hota, nahi hoga, etc. But it took a lot of permutations and combinations, and now we have a good team of vendors, and we take care of them because they take care of us.
Oh, nice way to put it.
For example, you have like 2-3 weddings, right? And the vendors, a lot of people would be approaching them. So how do you maintain that? How do you maintain that relationship so that they always are with you? I mean, do you have 2-3 people for the same? For example, you need roses. You have one backup always because.
Yeah, we have backups. But even if you're saying in terms of flower, there are a lot of people who work in that flower business. So the flower guys that I'm working with will also send us other people. They'll segregate their own workers and they'll send it to the other events that we have. So once you find the right point of contact, that guy will take care of it. So it's all about also establishing that trust, giving them their payments on time, making sure that they get their khana, pina, all of that, giving them proper rest, just making sure that they're comfortable so that, they can do the work for you. So it's all dignity of labor. If you're arrogant, किसी का कोई काम चलने वाला नहीं है. You have to be,
Dale Carnegie's how do you influence people and make friends, right?
Absolutely.
You have to be a true people's person.
People's person.
How do you manage the legalities at this point? So, for what I know, you have one single contract with the client and yourself. Now, how do you... Okay, so for suppose I used to have like a miniature post-production studio where I've done video for weddings. So we have a contract between a person like event manager like you, and then you delegate the work to us. So certain contract memo, we don't show up with the work or we do something here and there. The revisions and everything, we make sure ki inni revisions ki inte istamu, incoming ki you want additional revisions, we charge you extra.
In extra bartade and all.
So like our legalities, how do you manage between the vendors who are not as professional?
Yeah.
Like you just said, like pula wallo, we just have take a chance, luck by chance, annattu wallo vastar potar. Any plan Bs? How do you have?
Tell you a big secret. I don't have any contracts till now.
Oh, like between your
it's
clients
not
as well?
good. Between my clients, between my vendors, it's not good. I'm not encouraging it. I must have my contracts in place. It's time I did. Because all of these things will come up. Like if you've not done the work properly, or if you've done only this much, then only this much payment will come out.
Exactly.
I have to look into it. I admit that I'm not there yet. Although we've done events money-wise on pretty large scale, most of them have been in cash. So we have not had to put contracts in place just yet. But those issues are coming up right now. So that's something that I'm...
End of the day, we're driving force is the money. And like if you don't get that money, like...
You'll have to end up at the end of the day in this situation. If you don't get the money, you'll have to pay through your own pockets,
Which also we've done.
which is something that you don't want to do.
It's a lesson that we have to learn, and that's in process right now, and we're putting that in place. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 months it'll be up and running.
Kudos for that. One question that I really wanted to ask was what is the craziest experience that you had during an event that was there? Like, what is some really crazy experience? You can be as discreet about it, but if you could give us some spicy tidbits about, like you said, there was a situation where the bridezilla, or they would say that there are some red flags from the mother-in-law or something like that. When did you see the spiciest of these takes, where it was kind of like fun, but it was also adventurous and something really crazy happened?
Yeah. Oh, lots actually. But if I should talk about one specific event, a few months ago we did an event. We did a wedding at a private resort, wherein we were stationed there for 4 days, in fact, and we had this sangeet where we had a lot of drinks. We arranged for bartenders, and it was very people were having a great time. And then after a while, they had a little bit of an extra great time where, the bride got so drunk. Next day morning was her puja, followed on by haldi and pelli kuturu. And she got so drunk, she just passed out on the lawns. Father's drunk. Her girlfriends are drunk. She's completely, she's passed out, absolutely dead passed out.
Cold. Knocked out
cold, knocked out. Like, we are, holding her up, hitting her, slapping her. Nothing. For one moment, I thought she's dead. She's completely gone. And this is, I'm saying, 2 a.m. She has to be up at 4:30 in the morning, take a shower, be dressed, sit for puja by 5:30. DJ stopped the music, the resort people are shouting at us, saying, what is this? You guys are like, this is way past. Because you have other guests also, right, in the resort. We called our driver. You will not believe, from the parking lot, he came with the car into the lawns. Like going up the stairs like that, from the lawns on the steps. Parked right there. We hauled her up, threw her in the car, took her to her room. In the middle, her mother came. She had one meltdown saying, oh my God, she has to be up in 1 hour. Then I said, Auntie, just go. We'll take care of it. So, So, it was crazy. But then we did it. She was fine at the end of it. We hydrated her enough. Of course,
she sat in the puja.
She was there at 5:30 in the morning on those Peterloo.
That's great job by everyone.
Yeah.
And these are kind of adventures that you have that no degree can kind of like, prepare you for, I think. Okay, no amount of degrees can kind of prepare you for something like this.
Yeah, and it's scary because if something happens, then the onus will lie on me, saying you should have stopped it, you should have done this, you should have done that. But what do you do when people are having a good time? And what do you do? Where do you draw the line, or when do you say stop?
I have 2 more questions. I'll just ask you one first, and then you can kind of go if you have some questions or that. We'll have to kind of wrap it up pretty soon. What is like your dream project? Like everybody has a dream project. Like if I'm a coder, there's probably a dream coding project that I want to do, or a dream research project in mathematics that I would like to have, or I'd like to have a body like this if I'm bodybuilding. Everybody has their dream project. If you're a builder, you may want to build Burj Khalifa part something 2.0 or something, right?
And give us one room free in that.
Right. So what is like your dream event? Okay, that you would.
My dream project would be by any beach. Have like set up a very dreamy, beautiful mandap. For very small gathering, I don't want like too much of tham jam. Maybe just for like 100 people or 150 guests. Make it very intimate, very customized. Welcome the guests with their names also on, in their rooms, stuff like that.
How about you do this for your brother?
If he gives me the money, I'll do it. It's no free lunches. Yeah. I also have the color palette also I have it in mind, because by the sunset, like this beautiful mandap, and maybe like a nice traditional band playing the sitar, an instrumental music to entertain the guests. Nothing too loud, nothing too brash. A wedding where the guests feel like, oh, this is so beautiful, it's so magical.
It also has a calm, relaxing vibe to it.
Relaxing vibe. Nothing where you are like you're sleep deprived, you're tired, you're like feeling, why am I here? What am I doing? No, it should be really good for the bride and the groom also, for their families, for their guests, for everything. So I have all of that in mind, but you should also find the right clients. Because nowadays it's all about, I want aerial act, I want this, I want one peacock, I want one elephant.
But I think that is going to come soon, because there's a saturation point for everything. And everybody is going through these extravagant events. Some of them are not, but saturate, okay, and then I want something calm, collected. I want only my close friends and family.
But
Let's do
at
that.
the end of the day, decision makers are not you though. So it's your parents.
Oh, but yeah.
That's
going to
true.
change, right? Yeah.
And then also I was just I wanted to talk about my experience. Like mine was in Vizag. I think Shiva attended, and I think the best part about mine was they were looking for a band they couldn't find a band, and they put Navy band. So all of them were in the Navy dresses, and they were playing music which we learned in Vidyaranya in our school. So all the music they were playing were from my school. It was not planned. And during my wedding, I was singing all these songs while getting married because I love these songs. I grew up listening to these songs.
Those were the days, my friends. Did
all those songs. Yeah. So all those songs they were playing, and it was not planned, but I loved it so much because I was so comfortable in that.
Yeah, that's the experience. That's the takeaway from it. Any event, it must be enjoyable, memorable. You must be able to talk about it in a nice manner, even like 10-15 years later. Not that, Amma, it was so stressful. Oh, God only knows why I had all of that. It should never be like that.
Those people will say that, but then after they have like a child or something, they'll again go for a stressful event.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the paradox of human nature, I guess.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
All right, my fellow foodie. There's one other question. In your experience, who was the best caterers?
Oh, we don't deal with food.
No?
No.
Okay.
That's the one space we don't deal with, not food.
Is there any other spaces that you don't deal with?
For now, it's just food. But otherwise, we're primarily into decor. But we also have other aligned services like photography and barat and music and DJ and everything else. Even makeup artists, mehendi, sangeet, all of that. Choreography also we'll give if you want. Food is something I don't think we don't want to get in. Get
involved. It's too
subjective.
Yeah, it's too risky. It's too subjective. You don't know the palette.
Yeah. Some people will like it, some people won't. But at the end of the wedding, everyone will be talking about the food. That's the thing. They don't want to have
And then if the
that.
food is bad, then that's it. You're done.
You throw the most amazing thing where diamonds are showering from
Nothing matters.
like they'll be talking about the food.
Is the food good or not? That's the whole discussion while going back home. That's the end of the day. Yeah.
ఇది పెట్టిర్రు అది పెట్టిర్రు అరే this was nice అరే ఇదేం పెట్టిర్రా బాయ్.
And the final question from my side I want to ask was, where do you see Story Sutra in the next
same question.
say 1-2 years?
Expansion plans. Where do you see it going in the future? That kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see it onwards and upwards from here. We have a good team of vendors now in place. So we would like to continue that association with them. We do have a designer who works with us for the designs and the mandap and all the creatives. But I'd like to get a couple of people more in. Who can give us more ideas, because this space is very dynamic. Every month you have like a new thing or a new theme coming up. So I want we're looking for a couple of people who can work with us on the updated versions of designs and things. So definitely, because the creative guys are what are going to push this. You should be able to give good designs to the clients, variations, because every client is like, I want something new, I want something new, I want something new. So that newness is what we're looking for. Someone who's willing to be very flexible, learn on the job, as passionate and as crazy as we are. Because at the end of the day, it's all like, it's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work kind of situation. So where do you see it? Definitely, doing maybe 10 events a month, if we can pull that off without compromising on the quality. Getting good business, good growth, so that we're all flourishing. And also making new contacts, reaching out to more and more clients. Hopefully getting into destination weddings and events.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, do you operate pan-India and abroad? Or?
Provided the clients need us there. But that involves a lot more budgeting. Because obviously, if you want us to come from here, we are going to get our team here, because we don't know how people are there. No, we've never worked with them. So
to maintain quality, you need your team there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely. Destination weddings are always so much more expensive.
And fun.
And fun. Everything's fun. You have to make it fun. That's all.
Do you want to finish off by telling people what you made for us today?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. So this will be a pre-workout actually. So this has apples and ginger honey. So my throat has not been really doing well. So I thought that ginger honey is going to be really good. So I've been sipping on some hot water as well with ginger honey and some lemon squeezed into it. And I thought I'll just pour this on some, sliced apples. I will be having this and then pushing off to the gym once I wrap this thing. So that's a wrap, guys, on Story Sutra. This was SuryaCast signing off. And do check out their Instagram page. It's got some fantastic designs. We'll link it in the description below. And show us some love. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think about this episode. And let us know what you want us to do in the next episode. Comment down below. Thank you very much. And see you in the next episode.